Okay, before I even start, I'm not even recording on the podcast. Sorry about all the background noise in advance in this. If you want a clearer audio and it's possible, definitely listen to this on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can also watch the video, but I'm just saying the audio's not gonna be that great. There's construction literally like 360 around me. My microphone for my camera is deciding to do a very weird clicking noise, and I don't have what I need to fix it because I'm in Mexico. So sorry. Talking in the microphone obviously for the podcast, but not for the camera. So get the hell into this. I'm really freaking excited for this one today. I'm so excited for this podcast today, guys. I hope you are too. I've been wanting to make a podcast episode like this for a while, but you know, there's other topics to cover other than sex, but I know that sex is a fun topic. We all like to talk about it, or at least I do. I don't know about you guys. I do. I can talk about it forever. Before I get into the nitty gritty, the juicy stuff, mother or any family members of mine, James even, anyone who knows me, not my friends, y'all can listen, but like, just parents and James, don't listen to this, okay? While I was waiting for James to leave the room before I could start my podcast, and while I was waiting for him, I was going on my laptop looking at like these old poems that I had written when I was like 19 years old, and they're all about like, each poem is basically about like a sexual experience that I had, or I just like wrote about it in general, and damn, first of all, I really popped off, but it kind of just got me really excited. I was like, wow, my 19-year-old self sometimes blows me away. Like when I look at past things, there's a lot of times when like your Facebook statuses, it's like memories, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe that I wrote that. But, you know, I was a little poet back in the day, and sometimes I'm like, wow, for being a teenager, I was a little bit insightful. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's cringe, I will say, but there's other stuff that I'm just like, okay, girl, go off. Anyways, so today we're going to be talking about sex, but mostly like casual sex and hookup culture. You guys know already that this podcast is about being in your 20s, and while a lot of us do start experimenting with like sex and stuff at a younger age, like maybe in our teenage years, I feel like for a lot of people, the 20s, like you're 20, like when you're in your 20s, I feel like that's a lot of time when you actually start like dating and hooking up with people, and it gets a little bit more messy. Maybe you're doing it more, maybe you haven't done it before. I don't know. Everyone's, again, on their own journey. We already know this. Everyone in their 20s is at a completely different spot, so like there's really no saying like in a generic way where you are at in life. But I feel like for the most part, on average, maybe you lose your virginity in your teenage years, but I do feel like when you're in your 20s, that's when you're like more of an adult, right? So like, I don't know, when you're a teenager, you're like sneaking around, you don't want to get caught, it's a little bit more sketchy, you know? Whereas I feel like once you're an adult, it's kind of like more, it's more accepted in some ways, but we'll get to that. So first of all, let's just talk about sex in general. I feel like it is a touchy, tricky, complicated subject, and in my opinion, I do not think it should be. There's a lot of weird societal expectations, a lot of shame, just a whole lot of other people's opinions, and I don't know, even like religion and gender, what do you call that? I hate when I forget a word on here, like, oh my god, I just had it. Okay, I think I was trying to say double standards, but like, you know, like gender stereotypes, double standards, whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about. Everybody has their own opinions on it, their own expectations. Some people might have more of a like conservative religious take on it. Some people might be saving themselves for marriage. Some people might not be. It's literally such a personal thing that no one can just come on here and be like, this is what sex is, this is what it should be, this is what it means. Like, it's just different for everyone. So, you know, I'm gonna be speaking about my own, my own personal opinions and my own experiences, because guess what? It's my podcast. So I can say whatever the fuck I want. And you know what? If you disagree with anything I say on here, you can start your own goddamn podcast. I honestly feel like it's so overly complicated, and just like, there's so much junk piled in and attached to sex, when genuinely, this is what I believe, it's a biological act, all right? And I know a lot of y'all spiritual people out there are like, it's not though, like, it's not just scientific. There's emotional connections and spirituality. There can be, I do agree, but let's just take a couple steps back and look at what it is. Sex is biological. We are all wired to want to do it and to want to essentially breed, right? Like, that is what every single animal in the animal kingdom is put on earth to do, to fuck and make more of each other. Little carbon copies, just pop it right out. Luckily for us, we are at a time in our lives where, you know, birth control and, well, not even birth control, just in general, like if y'all don't want to have a baby, there's ways to not, which we're very fortunate of. And so sex isn't really just that anymore. It's more of a like fun, it's a human act. It's instinctual. It's wired inside of us. So first of all, so because of that, I don't believe there should be any type of like shame about even just like having sexual desires in general, because we're literally made that way. And trying to suppress it, especially with like a religious point of view, I feel like is honestly weird and just goes against nature. But that's just me. I'm not religious, okay? I did grow up in like the church, and actually a lot of the opinions about like sex and especially like men and women's expectations and just all that shit is one of the main reasons why I stopped. It was just like, fuck that. It's just yucky. I don't like that. I don't like any type of shame around it. I don't think it should be anything to be shamed about. Even just the concept of virginity, it's so deeply rooted in like misogyny and, you know, losing your virginity. I do not believe that when you have sex you lose anything. You don't lose dignity, you don't lose, well, okay, you could lose your virginity, but like not in that sense. Like that concept is just like, it's just based around women being pure, and it's fucking weird and gross, and I don't buy into it. I think that you gain an experience with every single sexual experience that you have. Good or bad, it's still an experience. And there is still something to be gained from it. And that's kind of the way I go about life, is like, not every situation that you experience is going to be a good one, but regardless, there is going to be something you can take away from it no matter what. And that's, I think, a good way of looking at life. I would say I've probably had more bad sexual experiences than I have good. Not bad, but just like not, you know, 10 out of 10. Amazing, like I'm gonna fucking write a book about this sex, because for one, I'm straight, I have sex with men, like how good can it be? No, but for real, like, you know what I'm saying. No, but I've had good experiences, and like each one is their own thing. Even the bad ones, for one, I can kind of just laugh about it. I mean, even 19-year-old me wrote a fucking goddamn poetry book about it, so even the bad ones, they were basically gross, and I love it. Actually, should I just read one really quick? I'm going to, because this one's great. I love this one. Hold on, I think I have it on my phone. Damn, I love it. I wish I could just like tell you guys who it's about. Not that you would even know, but LOL. I just love it. Okay. This one's called Better Than Nothing. You were worse than nothing. Oh, sorry. No. You were better than nothing, worse than anyone I'd ever been with. But I had nothing better to do, and at least now I know not to come over or waste my time lying in your bed listening to you drone on about your ex-girlfriend, who you somehow made to not sound so bad after all. And after it was over, all I could think of was, no wonder she broke up with you. But anyways, I just wanted to get that off my mind just right away, so you guys know like my stance on sex in general, and just like I fully believe it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable, and it doesn't need to be this serious, overcomplicated thing with all of these different emotions and shit tied into it. That's my stance, and I stand by that, and I will stand by that till the end of time. With saying that though, I don't want to take away from the importance of sex, especially when you are in a relationship where you really care about somebody, or when there is emotions involved, because sometimes there are. In fact, I would say more often than not, it's really hard for a lot of people to kind of like detach themselves emotionally. Like a lot of times sex is emotional, so I don't want to take away from that at all, and I don't want to like minimize, I guess, the importance of it, because it is important. It's not something I guess that should be taken lightly, but it can be. I don't know, it's iffy, because the thing about this is like when I'm saying like, oh, like there's no emotions involved, or like it doesn't have to be like this emotional serious thing, that is very true, but that's on a case-by-case basis, because not every person is mentally and emotionally like mature, I guess, enough not to like come for anyone, but like I don't think a lot of people are like emotionally or mentally mature enough to have sex with somebody without there being any strings attached. I think it's really hard for us as humans to not have anything attached to it at all. So yeah, I don't want to undermine it at all. I do understand that like for a lot of people it is, even if it's a casual hookup, it's still something that's important. And like I understand like not wanting to just sleep with anyone. It's good to have standards. As I said in the last episode about making friends and having friends, like any type of person you let into your life, emotionally, sexually, in a relationship, in a friendship, no matter who you're letting into your life, you should have standards, right? Like and whatever those standards are, that's up to you. But I do think that there should be standards. Like, sure, don't let anyone just rail you. But at the same time, if that's what you want and you genuinely don't care, and again, you're emotionally, mentally stable and like mature enough to handle it and not get hurt, and you know, you don't care who they are, by all means, fuck a stranger and enjoy it. Or don't. When it comes down to anything that has to do with your body, I am like, do whatever the fuck you want. Like no one is allowed to come on here and tell you what you can or cannot do with your body. You can have an opinion on it, but like, and I also just don't understand why it's anybody's business what goes on in the bedroom with anyone, right? Like, why does it matter? That's like another thing why I just don't understand people that are like homophobic. Like, what the fuck does it have to do with you? Like, mind your own goddamn business what people are doing, who they're fucking. Like, I don't understand. People are weird. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into that, but this is what I mean about overcomplicating sex. It's like, why does it matter who someone's sexually attracted to? Why has it become like a political thing? Like, people are so mind-boggling, man. Like, oh, it really confuses me, but I can't, because that would just be a whole other episode for me to just talk about how fucking stupid humans are. Anyways, so yeah, now that we kind of got my stance on sex out of the way, I think you guys understand. I feel like I did a good job of explaining my viewpoint on it, hopefully. But again, this is my podcast, so I'm going to talk about my own opinions and my own experiences with it. And you know, I'm not a professional advice giver, so don't come for me if what I'm saying is me just being like, fuck a stranger. No. Well, yeah, if you want to, but again, do it safely. Make sure you're mentally okay with like emotions and shit. Like, that's the thing, this is the thing about like holding anyone with a platform accountable that I think is funny, is like, you gotta use your common sense, right? Just because I'm some random girl on the internet with like a couple, whatever amount of followers, being like, fuck a stranger, like, what are you gonna do? Go outside your door and just like have sex with the first person that you see? No, because you're a person, you have common sense, you're not that stupid. Yes, of course, do it safely. You have to know yourself. And I think that's another thing when it comes to sex, is like, if you don't know yourself at all, and you have like no idea what you want or what you like, or just like anything about yourself, what are you doing? Fucking with someone else, or just fucking someone else, you know? Like, and whatever, teenagers have sex because of like little hormones, little horny people, but like, they're probably not emotionally mature. I've witnessed it firsthand with like my friends getting hurt because, you know, when they were a teenager, they like slept with some guy, thought it was like the love of their life, and of course it's like some horny teenage boy. He's gonna fuck the first person he sees if they're willing. So let's get into hookup culture. Personally, I know a lot of people think of it as something toxic and kind of bad. I don't think of it as a toxic thing. Again, if everybody in the party is on the same page, this is very important. This is like the most important thing with hookup culture, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people, this is where they go wrong, and this is why people end up getting hurt. Be on the same page. And look, I know a lot of the times guys like to white lie kind of and lead people on, and you know, they like to act like they're in it emotionally, but really they're just saying that to get something out of. Guys can be really manipulative, women can be manipulative as well. Like, it goes both ways, and like there are a lot of double standards. I'm gonna get to that, actually. That's another topic I want to talk about, is double standards. But communication is the most important thing in life, but very much so like in any type of sexual relationship that you're having with anybody, because this is what happens time and time again. Two people go into a sexual experience together, and one person is in it a little more emotionally than the other person. The other person might be like, this is just fucking, this is just sex, it's a one-night stand, I enjoyed my conversation with this person a little bit, I'm sexually attracted to them, but I don't really want anything else. I'm just looking for some sexual gratification, a fun time, and I'm out of there. And the other person doesn't know that that's what the other person wants. In their head, they're emotionally invested and they think that it's reciprocated. But it's not, because guess what? These people haven't said a fucking word to each other about how they're feeling. And so they have sex, the person who's emotionally invested thinks that it's like this fun, this like serious spiritual experience, falls in love, or maybe not that dramatic, but you know what I mean? Like, they have emotions tied to it. And once you already have emotions tied and then you have sex, you're gonna get hurt if the other person isn't on the same page. If the other person's just looking for a fun time, it's not gonna work. Someone's gonna get upset. And perhaps the person who, you know, wasn't emotionally involved, they might be confused about why the other person's upset, because they never knew that that person had emotions connected to it. It's just a big ball of confusion when there's no communication, and that's why communication's so important. Make sure you're on the same page. Don't have sex with somebody if you have emotions invested, if they don't have those same emotions. And again, I know that guys can be manipulative, so it's a risk you gotta take. And women, again, anyone can be manipulative. So it is a risk you gotta take sometimes by, I guess, trusting this person. And so that's another thing when it comes to strangers. How well do you know this person? Do you actually trust that they are not gonna screw you over? I don't know. That's up to you. That's common sense. That's something you gotta figure out on your own, right? And at the end of the day, you're never gonna go through life without getting hurt at all. Like, it's gonna happen regardless, no matter how much you try to protect yourself. And sex is, you know, just another factor in the entire human experience that might get you hurt in some way or another. And I don't know if there's a way around it, but you could definitely get a lot less hurt if you communicate and make it very, very clear. And like, yeah, people can lie to you and they think, yeah, no, like, I really like you. And then after you have sex, you're just like, peace. So you gotta maybe use your I don't know, use your judgment skills if this person seems trustworthy or not, like they're gonna fuck with you. I don't really know. But here's, like, this is what I fully believe in terms of hookup culture. If both people are on the same page, like, let's say both people are like, yeah, I just wanna fuck. Don't care about ever seeing you again, don't care about ever talking to you again. I'm just trying to bust a nut and leave type thing. And both people are like, yeah, me too. It could be a great time. Like, it can be really fun. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. If both parties are on the same page, both agree, I don't see any problem with it. In fact, I think that that's part of human experience, and I think that it's fun, and that's when I feel like sex can be fun and playful and literally just part of it. Like, embrace it. The other thing is, if you don't care about sex that much and it's really not that important to you, then don't do it, you know? Like, if you really want to and enjoy it and have fun, but if it's something that you think that you just like aren't really emotionally capable of doing casually, don't do it. Again, you gotta know yourself and how you would react to these situations, and you have to kind of make that call, because it's, again, a personal experience. Like, everyone is different when it comes to it. But if you know that you can go about it without any strings attached, without getting your feelings hurt, everyone's on the same page, and you're doing it safely, fuck whoever the fuck you want. And that's my philosophy. Okay, guys, bye. No, I'm just kidding. But like, at the end of the day, for real. Obviously, this podcast is about your 20s, right? Like, that's kind of the POV of this podcast. Life in your 20s, navigating life in your 20s. So, of course, sex in your 20s. Now, I have to admit, I'm not really the greatest person to be talking about this, which is funny because I'm making an entire fucking episode about it. But I have been in relationships the majority of my 20s. And like pretty serious relationships, so I actually have not had that much experience with casual sex and hookup culture in my 20s. Fortunately for me, I got that shit all out of the way and all out of my system in my teenage years, so good for me, I guess. Yeah, back when I was emotionally immature. No, actually, let me just talk a little bit about my experience. I had enough hookup and casual sex experience in like 1 year of my life that I think a lot of people have in their whole lifetimes. So I think I'm okay, and I think I can talk about this. Although I was like 18, 19, not yet in my, it was pretty much all between the ages of 18 and 19. Literally just like 2 years, guys, and I got it all out of my system. So that was fun. That was a fun time in my life. I feel like I'm also not the greatest about talking about this because I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know if it was something wrong with me or maybe something good, but I was very, very good at completely detaching myself emotionally from any sexual experience I had. I don't know how I did it. I think it was probably because the people that I was having sex with I genuinely didn't like. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but hey, at least I didn't get emotionally invested because they all sucked and were assholes. Yeah, maybe that's the key. This is terrible advice. Oh my god. Don't listen to me, what the fuck? But no, I genuinely was so capable, and I don't know how and I don't know why. Maybe I'm like a psychopath? I don't know. But I was really, really good at fucking without there being any emotions connected to it. Like, I'm not even trying to exaggerate or be like, yeah, oh my god, I can have sex without like being emotionally attached, but like I genuinely could. I don't know what was wrong with me. Again, I think I was just a sociopath. Every single sexual experience that I had, I was like so okay with never talking to that person again, or like if they were like also sleeping with other people within that time frame, I was like, okay, sick, me too. Like, I don't care. I don't have any attachments to these people. It was very strange. So maybe that's a rare case, but if you can do that, then that's one way of never getting hurt, because I didn't get hurt ever. Maybe that was my like secret way of like putting up a wall and protecting myself, but I actually think it was more because I was only fucking assholes. I think that's why. I really think that's why. Although I do feel bad. There was one guy, this is mean of me. There was one guy that definitely was emotionally attached to me, and I definitely was not emotionally attached to him, but I think I might have accidentally made him think that I was, and I think he might have got hurt. So that was not nice of me. I probably, again, I should have communicated, guys. I should have let him know, because homeboy was definitely deep in it. Guys, I have to tell you this. Okay. Just this guy that I was, like, literally in my head I was hooking up with him, but he definitely thought it was more, and that's on me for being that. I was a bad guy. I didn't communicate, and he ended up getting hurt, because I remember one time after, I guess we hooked up and hung out, he gave me a letter, and he's like, open this when you get inside. Guys, I can't even make this shit up right now. I opened it when I got inside. First of all, on the cover, it was like, you know, like when you fold up a little piece of paper into like a little booklet. I'm gonna crack the fuck up right now, just like thinking about this. I can't believe this is real. And on the cover of this little booklet was a very, very poorly drawn, either Homer Simpson or Bart Simpson, one of the Simpson guys, but poorly drawn. Don't ask me why. I could not for the life of me tell you why, because I did not watch The Simpsons, had no idea this guy liked The Simpsons. So random, right? Oh my god, I can't believe this is real. And he handed it, anyways, yeah, on the cover was like Bart or Homer Simpson, and on the inside of the fucking card, it just said, it was like, I don't know if it said more than this, but it definitely said I love you. That would, it definitely said I love you. And what did I do? What did I do, guys? Let's take a wild guess. Did I call him up and was like, hey, I don't think that this is reciprocated? Did I talk to him and let him know, let him down easily? Maybe not easily. No, I didn't. I freaked the fuck out and texted another guy and was like, you up? And then slept with that guy, a different guy. That was mean. I think I was not my proudest moment, okay? God damn it. This is why you have to communicate. Because guess what? He probably wouldn't have gotten hurt if earlier on I had just been like, hey dude, not into you like that. I sound like a horrible person. I sound like such a bitch. I'm sorry. This was my 19-year-old self though, okay? Like, who knows what was going through her head. My frontal lobe wasn't fully developed, so leave me alone. But another example of me having absolutely zero emotional, also not even emotional, but like, I was also really weird about like any type of like affection. Like, I did not want any, like, if I was gonna fuck you, don't kiss me, don't cuddle me, like, ew. Like, let's fuck, and I genuinely never want to talk to you again. I'm not even kidding, and I don't know where this came from. What was inside of me to make me this way? I don't know. I sound like I have, like, trauma from my past, but I don't know. But yeah, there was this one guy that I hooked up with from, like, Tinder, I think, and he, like, messaged me and was like, hey, like, let's, like, I don't know. I just want to like, I think it was like, let's go get like food and we can like cuddle and like snuggle together. And I was like, I literally responded back and I was like, how about we fuck and never talk again? And he was like, deal. And we did. And then he tried to text me afterwards and was like, hey, like, what are you doing? That was fun. And just ghosted him. I was like, what part of let's never talk again did you not understand? See, at least I made it clear though. He just didn't get the memo. So at least I did communicate that time. That's enough of my own experiences. I don't want to get too much into it because I gotta save some for another time. There's so much, you guys. There's so many times, so many stories I could share. We gotta save them for the next time. But there's gonna be more than one sex episode. You guys already know. If you're like me, then go ahead. You won't get hurt, but don't hurt other people either. Obviously protect yourself. Don't get your feelings hurt, but don't hurt other people either. So this is a little lesson from my personal experience. I think there's so many lessons from my teenage years that I could make a whole, I think I'm gonna make a whole podcast episode just about like things I learned in my teenage years that I can now apply to my 20s, because that's another one. Communication is key. Don't fucking hurt people. Don't mess with people's feelings. Obviously not cool with me. I'm laughing now because I'm sure the guy's fine now, but like it wasn't funny at the time for me to like fuck with this guy and like make him feel upset and like basically lead him on. Like that's not chill. That's fucked up, and that's how people get hurt. And I don't think I'm a malicious person at all. I think I was just a stupid, dumb teenager. A horny one too, apparently, but like don't fuck with people, like people's feelings and stuff like that. So anyways, enough about me. Let's talk more about being in your 20s and hookup culture and having sex and everything. So again, just to reiterate, I don't think hookup culture is toxic if everyone's on the same page and you go about it doing the right way, use common sense, and you communicate. End of story. So like I said, I've been in pretty much been in relationships the entirety of my 20s. I'm 25, so yeah, I haven't had much experience kind of like casually dating, casually hooking up. Although when James and I met, who's my current boyfriend, it was essentially, I always like to say it was a one-night stand gone wrong. Because we basically met on Bumble, and I honestly, in the back of my head, I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, so I really wasn't looking for anything at all. In fact, I really was trying to be single for a long time, or at least for like a little bit, because I really hadn't been single for a long time. Lo and behold, though, we hooked up. I thought it was going to be a one-night stand. Obviously, like I really got along with James, really liked him. He, I guess, really liked me too, because he like texted me the next day. I honestly was like, this guy's never going to talk to me again. And I was fully prepared for that too, because I thought we were on the same page. I mean, I was excited when he texted me, I'm not gonna lie. And then we just kept seeing each other, and then, you know, I did hold off on like actually getting in a relationship with him for a long time. I was like, no. But I really liked him, and shit happened, so we got in a relationship, and I'm very happy and very content, and I love him so much, and I obviously would never, I'm like so glad that I met him, but at the same time, I didn't really experience very much casual dating and like hookup culture at all in my 20s. And I do feel like there's a lot of people I know in my personal life that kind of are over being single, and it's like, ugh, like when am I gonna get a boyfriend? Like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of stuff, especially on social media. Like I see so many TikToks that are just like complaining about being single basically. I genuinely feel like, I think because I'm in a relationship and I can look at people who are single, I'm like, damn, if I was single, like I would be trying to make the most of it and trying to meet as many people and have as many experiences as I can. It doesn't have to be sexually related. I think a lot of people can get really distracted by sex, and you know, if you're just like a horny person and you're letting it, basically your sexual desires completely control your life, that is not good. You know, like I think there's so much more to life than sex. I think that sex can be a fun part of life depending on everyone prioritizes it differently. For me, I think I've always been a very sexual person, so it is something that I do place a pretty high importance on, but not for everyone. And I think, again, like in your 20s, it's a selfish time. It's a time for you to really figure yourself out, and it's a time for you, maybe you're like really invested in your career, or you're starting a family, or anything. You could be traveling, like there's so many different things everybody's doing. I don't think that sex should be like at the very top of anybody's list, honestly, because like, yeah, it's fun and it's great, but it's like not the end all be all. It's not gonna like, I mean, like I've had very, like, I don't know, that's another thing. I feel like, especially like from movies and TV shows, they make sex seem like it's like mind-blowing, which like you can have like some really good experiences for sure, but I'm gonna say like right now, like it's normally pretty disappointing. Like it's normally not that great. I think for me, what I enjoyed most about like casual sex, or just sex in general, was more the kind of like I guess like feeling desired, feeling like someone was kind of like chasing after me, attracted to me. It's not even about like the actual physical sex, almost. It's almost like everything else involved with it. That's kind of like the lust. I think it's more like the lust. It's more, ooh, someone is attracted to me and like is down to do this. Like, and it kind of makes me get into it if I feel like I'm wanted. You know what I mean? And I guess everybody has their own things that they're into and things that kind of turn them on or that they like about sex. Maybe some people it's like literally just the physical thing. I think for me it's way less about that and more all the other shit. It's kind of like the chase, it's fun, I feel like you almost get like, at least for me, I would get like kind of this like rush of endorphins afterwards, like that was so fun and exciting, and then that was it. I don't know. This is my message to any of you who are in your 20s and you're single, and if you do want to have sex, like you're into casual sex and hookup culture, you're emotionally mature and you can handle it and don't get your feelings hurt, and you want to, that's the most important thing. If it's something you want to do and you're into, by all means do it, and don't feel ashamed about it. Like, I hate the thought of like women, like the walk of shame, you know, just like, even though it's kind of a joke now, but at the same time, just like the whole thought of it, like women having sex and like feeling this weird sense of shame, whereas like guys feel like nothing. Not that, like some guys obviously do. I just don't like that idea. Like, embrace it, have fun with it. It's not that big of a deal. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, if you're doing it safely and everything, use a fucking condom. Whatever you gotta do, don't get a goddamn STD, get yourself checked, like, be safe about it. I would never try to promote anyone doing something stupid. But again, use your common sense. Like, do I have to be the one to tell you to like not get an STD? I don't know. Maybe I do. Yeah, and again, like, if it's not your thing and you're really, there's a lot of people that like just are kind of indifferent, like they just don't care about sex. Then by all means, like, don't feel ashamed if you want to have it and you enjoy having like casual sex, hooking up with people. But also don't feel pressured or regretful if it's something you're not into but you feel like you should be, because everybody's different, and just because it's not important to you doesn't mean, like, yeah, if it's not important to you doesn't mean you should feel like it is. It doesn't have to be, and you shouldn't feel weird, or there's a lot of people like that just like don't really care about it, and that's totally fine. Like, no one is the same, and that's a good thing. I don't regret being in any of my relationships because I feel like they've all taught me something. But I almost do, in a way, wish that I had spent more time being single, especially in my 20s, just because I feel like it's such a great time to explore, and there's so much. I just feel like your 20s is all about creating yourself and figuring yourself out, and I think that that's just one way that you can do it if it's something you're into. It's also really a fun way of like kind of meeting people, and you really figure yourself out. Like, I think that all of the experiences that I've had, even the bad ones, they've all taught me more about myself, like what I'm into. Like, okay, if I had a bad experience, I'm like, okay, well, I don't like people like this. I don't like people who are into this, or like I just didn't have a good time because I don't know, there's just, everyone's into different things, and I feel like that's the only way you're really gonna learn, is by having these experiences and learning from each of them, if it's something you're into. Again, and I also, I don't regret any hookups I've had. I've had some pretty goddamn awful ones, but I don't regret any of them because I learned something from it. I got to take something away from it, and it's also fucking great context for my little poems I wrote when I was 19, because that shit was funny. Fuck a stranger, be a slut if you want to, and if you're safe about it, if you use your common sense. If you don't want to, then don't. All right, last thing I just want to talk about really quick is the kind of like gender stereotypes and the double standards. Why do I keep forgetting that phrase? There's so much double standards when it comes to women and men and like their sexuality, and I fucking hate it. I think one thing that I hate is the idea that like men are so much more sexual than women. In my personal experience, at least, like all my friends, I swear to God, all my girlfriends are way hornier than my guy friends and are way more down to fuck. I feel like the guys, at least the guys I know in my life, are just kind of like meh about it, which is kind of weird. But that's the thing, I feel like in society we're taught that like men are so horny, they think with their dicks. Like, no, that's bullshit. And also if they do, then they just really if they think with their dicks, then they're weak. If you don't have the mental capability of controlling your sexual urges and not allowing your sexual urges to completely control your life, you are weak and weak-minded, and what is wrong with you? Like, I don't want to be anywhere near you. So if a guy's really thinking with his dick, then he just is stupid and like he's like has the brain of like a 12-year-old boy. I think that's where a lot of the shame comes from. Is like, oh, it's like women aren't really as sexual as men, and so, you know, it's just not all. It has to do with this like deep and rooted like purity culture, virginity shit, like women, I don't know, just slut shaming, all of the like internalized misogyny, and I hate it. I hate all of it. I hate the whole like victim blaming, and also just like when women wear revealing clothing, it's like, oh, you're asking for it, or like she's a slut. Just all of that shit is bullshit. I don't really have much more to say about it because it's like, I mean, you guys probably already know that. It's like, what am I gonna say? It's just dumb and I hate it. But yeah, I also think just the kind of trope, I guess, that like, oh, guys just want one thing, they only want to have sex, they don't aren't like emotionally invested with sex, like they'll just manipulate you to fuck and then they never want to talk to you again. Again, in my experience, there was a lot of guys that got emotionally attached to me that I like didn't want anything to do with. And I think there's a lot of girls like that are just like, yeah, no, I just want to fuck. And that's totally fine. And I think that if girls want to, that's okay. And they're not slutty. So let's stop slut shaming all the girlies. And there's a lot of like girl on girl slut shaming. I've noticed, like even like going through high school, like when I first got in high school, there were just all these girls that are like, oh my god, she's such a slut, oh my god. Also it's mostly just like compiled from rumors, but it's like girls supporting girls, you know, like if she wants to hook up with a guy, let her. Why are we shaming women? Why do we care? Again, why the fuck do we care what anyone else is doing in the bedroom besides ourselves? And I guess the person you're with. Like, that's what I don't understand. It's no one's business but your own. And so it's no one's business but your own. You don't need to feel ashamed. You don't need to, and no one else's opinions about it matter. And so go do whatever the fuck you want. That's always going to be my motto for anything. Do whatever the fuck you want. As long as you're not hurting people or hurting yourself and you're doing it safely, do whatever the fuck you want. Fuck whoever you want if they're also on the same page as you and they want to. And yeah, use your brains, guys. Use your common sense and all will be okay. This was fun. Wow, that episode went by really fast. I think it was just because I had a lot of fun and there was so much to talk about. This may be the first episode about sex, but it certainly will not be the last because, like I said, I could talk about this forever. I have so much more to share with you guys. Maybe next time I'll do like almost like a Q&A or something. I don't know. Let me know if there's anything that I didn't talk about in this episode that you'd like to hear more about or you want me to talk about. Because sex is an endless topic, you guys. There's so much to talk about. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think this was my favorite episode so far that I've recorded just because I've had so much fun talking about it. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, give me a 5-star rating, please, if you want to. If you want to and you liked it, do that. But no one's forcing you to do anything you don't want to do. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. If you guys didn't know, the On a Whim podcast, I'm recording it right now, so it's on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel. It's called On a Whim Podcast. I've been video recording all of the podcasts, so you can watch me if you don't want to just listen. You want to watch, although I will say the audio is not as great, especially right now in Mexico. But go on and you can watch it on YouTube. We also have, I don't know who I'm saying we, it's just me running the whole show here. I made a TikTok for On a Whim, which honestly I've been posting little like small clips. So if you don't want to watch on YouTube but you would like to see some of the like little short clips, I've been posting stuff on there. I also have an Instagram. I honestly love the Instagram. The Instagram is so much fun. I highly recommend following it just because I think my feed looks really cute. I've been having so much fun making my little collages for it and just like posting about it. I've also been posting little clips on there like of reels and just I post a lot of things on stories too, kind of like questions. Also, if I do end up, I'm thinking of eventually doing a kind of like Ask Angelina. I hate saying my name in third person, but like an Ask Angelina kind of episodes. Maybe once a month, maybe that's too much. Maybe like once every 2 months, where I'll leave you guys to answer questions, and it'll most likely be on my Instagram. You guys can ask me any questions you want, and I think I'll answer them. Kind of like an advice giving forum, or just like anything you guys want to know or want me to talk about. I think I might do that. So let me know if you want me to do that, because I haven't fully decided yet, but I think that'd be kind of fun. Maybe eventually I'll have guests on here. I haven't really decided. I kind of like just like talking to myself, like as a conversation, but I do love talking to people. Like I said in the last episode, I love having conversations with people, so I think that would be really fun. I only have one microphone right now, so I'd have to figure that whole thing out, but maybe eventually I'll have guests. I don't know, man. I'm just figuring it out on a whim. Duh. So yeah, give me a review. Let me know what you guys think. Honestly, I've been getting a couple DMs here and there about the podcast after people have listened, and like they've let me know how the episodes, what they resonate with, and I do check my DMs because my On a Whim Instagram doesn't have very many followers. I mean, even my other one doesn't. Like, I check pretty much all my DMs, and they mean the world to me. So if you actually really liked an episode, like, let me know. I want to cry every time I read your guys' like comments about it. If you loved it, I guess if you hate it, let me know too, but maybe don't because I might cry. So thanks so much for listening again, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye.